The small library on Jasmine Street. Every morning, the sun rises slowly over Jasmine Street, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and gold. The street is quiet at dawn, and a gentle breeze moves through the trees. At the end of the street stands a small blue building with white windows and a wooden door. This building is the heart of the neighborhood. It is a library. The library opens at 8 o'clock every morning. Mrs. Eleanor Whitman owns the library. She is a woman in her late 60s with silver hair and kind eyes. She wears simple dresses and comfortable shoes, and she always carries a small notebook in her pocket. The people on Jasmine Street respect her, and the children adore her. Mrs. Whitman loves books. She unlocks the door every morning and steps inside. The library smells of old paper and fresh coffee. Sunlight enters through the front windows and falls gently on the wooden shelves. There are hundreds of books inside, from adventure stories to science textbooks. She arranges the books on the shelves. Mrs. Whitman believes that books bring light into people's lives. She greets every visitor with a warm smile and listens carefully to their stories. She does not only lend books, she gives advice and comfort to anyone who needs it. She helps the children find interesting stories. One of the regular visitors is a boy named Daniel Harper. Daniel is 12 years old and has messy brown hair. He is curious about everything. He often asks questions about space, history, and animals. Daniel visits the library every afternoon. After school, Daniel walks quickly down Jasmine Street. He carries his backpack and hums a cheerful tune. When he reaches the blue building, he pushes the door gently and steps inside. He greets Mrs. Whitman with a bright smile. Daniel dreams of becoming a writer one day. He reads adventure novels and imagines himself as a brave explorer. He writes short stories in a small notebook that he hides under his bed. He writes stories about distant lands. Mrs. Whitman encourages him. She gives him old notebooks and pens and tells him that every great writer starts with a simple idea. She listens patiently when he reads his stories aloud. She listens to his stories with attention. Across the street from the library lives a girl named Sophia Martinez. Sophia is 11 years old and loves drawing. She has long black hair and expressive eyes. She spends hours sketching trees, houses, and people in her neighborhood. Sophia draws pictures every evening. Although she is shy, Sophia has a big imagination. She often stands outside the library and looks at the colorful posters in the window. She wants to go inside, but she feels nervous. She watches the library from a distance. One day, Daniel sees her standing near the entrance. He walks outside and introduces himself. He tells her that the library is a magical place where stories come alive. Daniel invites her into the library. Sophia hesitates at first, but she finally agrees. She steps inside and looks around with wide eyes. The shelves seem tall and endless. The room feels warm and welcoming. She feels safe inside the library. Mrs. Whitman notices the new visitor. She approaches Sophia gently and asks about her interests. Sophia whispers that she likes drawing and fairy tales. Mrs. Whitman shows her a book of fairy tales. Sophia opens the book and smiles. The pages are filled with beautiful illustrations of castles, dragons, and enchanted forests. Her eyes sparkle with excitement. She turns the pages carefully. From that day on, Sophia visits the library regularly. She sits at a small wooden table near the window and draws pictures inspired by the stories she reads. She creates colorful illustrations. Daniel and Sophia become close friends. They share their dreams and ideas. Daniel tells stories, and Sophia draws scenes from his imagination. They work together every afternoon. Jasmine Street slowly changes because of the small library. More children visit after school. Parents stop by to borrow novels and cookbooks. Even elderly neighbors come to read newspapers and talk with Mrs. Whitman. The library becomes a meeting place for everyone. Every Friday evening, Mrs. Whitman organizes a reading circle. The children sit on soft cushions while she reads a chapter from a chosen book. The children listen quietly to her voice. One Friday, Daniel asks if he can read his own story aloud. He feels nervous, but he wants to share his work. Mrs. Whitman nods with encouragement. Daniel reads his story with courage. The story is about a hidden island and a brave young sailor. Sophia shows her illustrations as Daniel reads. The other children clap at the end. The audience applauds warmly. As months pass, the seasons change. Leaves turn golden and fall to the ground. Winter brings cold winds and soft snow. The library remains warm and bright inside. The fireplace keeps the room cozy. During winter, the children gather closer to the fire. They drink hot chocolate and discuss their favorite characters. Daniel continues writing, and Sophia continues drawing. They improve their skills every week. One snowy afternoon, Mrs. Whitman looks tired. She sits in her usual chair but does not smile as widely as before. Daniel and Sophia notice the change. The children feel concerned. Daniel thinks deeply. He does not want the library to close, even for a short time. He talks with Sophia about an idea. Daniel shares his plan with Sophia. They decide to help Mrs. Whitman. They volunteer to organize the shelves, clean the tables, and greet visitors after school. They take responsibility for small tasks. At first, the work feels challenging. Daniel sometimes misplaces books, and Sophia struggles to manage the visitor list. But they learn quickly. They learn from their mistakes. The neighbors notice their effort. Parents offer to donate new books and supplies. Mr. Thompson, who owns the bakery nearby, sends fresh bread every Friday. The community supports the library. Mrs. Whitman feels grateful. She sits in her chair and watches the children manage the library with determination. Her eyes shine with pride. She feels proud of their dedication. Spring arrives with blooming flowers and warmer days. The garden beside the library fills with colorful blossoms. Sophia often sits outside to draw the flowers. The garden attracts many visitors. Daniel decides to write a longer story. He spends hours at the wooden table, filling page after page with his ideas. Sophia promises to illustrate his book when he finishes. He works hard on his manuscript. One afternoon, a local teacher named Mr. Harris visits the library. He hears Daniel reading his story and becomes impressed. Mr. Harris praises Daniel's talent. He suggests that Daniel participates in a young writers' contest in the city. The contest offers a chance to publish the winning story in a small magazine. Daniel considers the opportunity carefully. He feels excited but also nervous. He wonders if his story is good enough. Sophia encourages him and promises to support him. Sophia believes in his dream. Mrs. Whitman smiles when she hears the news. She tells Daniel that courage is more important than perfection. She gives him wise advice. Daniel submits his story before the deadline. Days pass slowly as he waits for the result. He continues helping at the library and tries not to think too much about the contest. He waits patiently for the announcement. One bright morning, a letter arrives at the library. Mrs. Whitman calls Daniel and Sophia to her desk. Her hands tremble slightly as she opens the envelope. She reads the letter aloud. Daniel wins second place in the contest. His story will appear in the magazine. The children cheer, and Sophia hugs him tightly. Daniel feels proud of his achievement. The news spreads quickly along Jasmine Street. Neighbors congratulate Daniel and thank Mrs. Whitman for inspiring him. The library celebrates the success. Although Mrs. Whitman still feels weak sometimes, she sees that the library is in good hands. Daniel and Sophia continue their work with enthusiasm. They keep the library lively and welcoming. Years pass, and the children grow older. Daniel becomes a published author, and Sophia studies art at a university in the city. However, they never forget the small blue building on Jasmine Street. They remember the library with gratitude. Whenever they return home, they visit Mrs. Whitman. She grows older, but her smile remains gentle and warm. Mrs. Whitman welcomes them with joy. The library stands as a symbol of friendship, dreams, and community spirit. It reminds everyone that even a small place can change many lives. The library inspires people every day. On quiet mornings, when the sun rises over Jasmine Street, the blue building shines softly in the light. The shelves remain full, and laughter echoes through the room.